Denzel Hayes Washington Jr., born December 28, 1954, is an American actor, producer, and director. Personal life. Marriage and family. On June 25, 1983, Washington married Pauletta Pearson, whom he met on the set of his first screen work, the television film Wilma. They have 4 children: John David, born July 28, 1984, also an actor and a former football player; Claudia, born November 27, 1986, who graduated from Yale University with a Bachelor of Arts in 2010, and twins Olivia and Malcolm, born April 10, 1991. Malcolm graduated from the University of Pennsylvania with a degree in film studies, and Olivia played a role in Lee Daniels' film The Butler. Malcolm is set to make his directorial debut with The Piano Lesson, with Denzel producing and John David starring in it. In 1995, Washington and his wife renewed their wedding vows in South Africa with Desmond Tutu officiating. Early life and education. Denzel Hayes Washington Jr. was born in Mount Vernon, New York, on December 28, 1954. His mother, Lennis Lynn, was a beauty parlor owner and operator born in Georgia and partly raised in Harlem, New York. His father, Denzel Hayes Washington Sr., a native of Buckingham County, Virginia, was an ordained Pentecostal minister who was also an employee of the New York City Water Department and worked at a local S. Klein department store. Washington attended Pennington Grimes Elementary School in Mount Vernon until 1968. When he was 14, his parents divorced and his mother sent Washington to the private preparatory school Oakland Military Academy in New Windsor, New York. He later said, "That decision changed my life, because I wouldn't have survived in the direction I was going. The guys I was hanging out with at the time, my running buddies, have now done maybe 40 years combined in the penitentiary. They were nice guys, but the streets got them." After Oakland, Washington attended Mainland High School in Daytona Beach, Florida, from 1970 to 1971. Washington was interested in attending Texas Tech University. "I grew up in the boys' club in Mount Vernon, and we were the Red Raiders. So when I was in high school, I wanted to go to Texas Tech in Lubbock just because they were called the Red Raiders and their uniforms looked like ours." Instead, he earned a BA in drama and journalism from Fordham University in 1977. Fordham, Washington played collegiate basketball as a guard under Coach P. J. Carlesimo. After a period of indecision on which major to study and taking a semester off, Washington worked as creative arts director of the overnight summer camp at Camp Sloan YMCA in Lakeville, Connecticut. He participated in a staff talent show for the campers, and a colleague suggested that Washington should try acting. Returning to Fordham that fall with a renewed purpose, Washington enrolled at the Lincoln Center campus to study acting, where he was cast in the title roles in Eugene O'Neill's The Emperor Jones and Shakespeare's Othello. Washington then attended graduate school at the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, California, where he stayed for a year before returning to New York to begin a professional acting career. See also, Denzel Washington on screen and stage and list of awards and nominations received by Denzel Washington. 1976 to 1989, early roles and rise to prominence. Washington spent the summer of 1976 in St. Mary's City, Maryland, in summer stock theater performing Wings of the Morning, the Maryland State play, which was written for him by incorporating an African-American character/narrator based loosely on the historical figure from early colonial Maryland, Matthias D'Souza. Shortly after graduating from Fordham, Washington made his screen acting debut in the 1977 made-for-television film Wilma, which was a docudrama about sprinter Wilma Rudolph, and made his first Hollywood appearance in the 1981 film Carbon Copy. Washington shared a 1982 Distinguished Ensemble Performance Obie Award for playing Private First Class Melvin Peterson in the off-Broadway Negro Ensemble Company production A Soldier's Play, which premiered November 20, 1981. Washington at the 62nd Academy Awards, 1990, at which he won Best Supporting Actor for the film Glory. A major career break came when Washington starred as Dr. Philip Chandler in NBC's television hospital drama St. Elsewhere, which ran from 1982 to 1988. He was one of only a few African-American actors to appear on the series for its entire 6-year run. Washington also appeared in several television, motion picture and stage roles, such as the films A Soldier's Story, 1984, Hard Lessons, 1986, and Power, 1986. In 1987, he starred as South African anti-apartheid political activist Stephen Biko in Richard Attenborough's Cry Freedom, for which Washington received a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. In 1989, Washington won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his portrayal of a defiant, self-possessed ex-slave soldier in the film Glory. That same year, Washington appeared in the film The Mighty Quinn, and in For Queen and Country, he played the conflicted and disillusioned Reuben James, a British soldier who, despite a distinguished military career, returns to a civilian life where racism and inner-city life lead to vigilantism and violence. 1990 to 1999, Hollywood stardom and acclaim. In the summer of 1990, Washington had appeared in the title role of the Public Theater's production of William Shakespeare's Richard III. Mel Gusso of the New York Times praised Washington as an actor of range and intensity, is expert at projecting a feeling of controlled rage. That same year, Washington starred as Bleak Gilliam in the Spike Lee film Mo Better Blues. Charles Murray of Empire praised Washington's performance as a top portrayal of the driven musician, and like all Lee's film, Mo Better Blues is a real ensemble piece, and the standard of the performances is uniformly excellent, but Washington and Lee deserve extra plaudits. In 1991, Washington starred as Demetrius Williams in the Mira Nair-directed romantic drama Mississippi Masala opposite Sarita Chowdhury. Set primarily in rural Mississippi, the film explores interracial romance between African Americans and Indian Americans. Critic Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times praised the chemistry of the two leads, writing, "Washington is an actor of immense and natural charm, and he makes a good match with Sarita Chowdhury." Washington was reunited with Lee to play one of his most critically acclaimed roles, the title character of the historical epic Malcolm X, 1992. The New York Times gave the film its critics' pick, with Vincent Canby declaring, "In Denzel Washington it also has a fine actor who does for Malcolm X what Ben Kingsley did for Gandhi." Mr. Washington not only looks the part, but he also has the psychological heft, the intelligence and the reserve to give the film the dramatic excitement. Washington's performance as the black nationalist leader earned him another nomination for the Academy Award for Best Actor. That same year, Washington established the production company Mundy Lane Entertainment. In 1993, he played the lawyer defending a gay man with AIDS, played by Tom Hanks in the Jonathan Demme film Philadelphia, 1993. Sight and Sound wrote, "Casting Washington in the lead guaranteed the film the black audience that otherwise might not have had much interest in the problems of a rich white homosexual with AIDS." But AIDS is rampant in inner cities, where it attacks not just gay men, but for drug users and women. During the early and mid-1990s, Washington starred in several successful thrillers, including The Pelican Brief with Julia Roberts in 1993 and Crimson Tide with Gene Hackman in 1995, as well as the Shakespearean comedy Much Ado About Nothing directed by Kenneth Branagh. In 1996, Washington played a U.S. Army officer who investigates a female chopper commander's worthiness for the Medal of Honor in Courage Under Fire, opposite Meg Ryan. Variety wrote, "All of the predicaments are palpably and convincingly registered through Washington's probing, reserved and sensitively drawn performance in a role that, in another era, might have been played by the likes of a Montgomery Clift or William Holden." In 1996, Washington starred alongside Whitney Houston and Courtney B. Vance in the romantic comedy The Preacher's Wife, directed by Penny Marshall. The film is a remake of the 1947 film The Bishop's Wife, starring Cary Grant, Loretta Young, and David Niven. In 1998, Washington starred in Spike Lee's film He Got Game. He played a father serving a 6-year prison term when the prison warden offers him a temporary parole to convince his top-ranked high school basketball player son, Ray Allen, to sign with the governor's alma mater, Big State. The film was Washington's third collaboration with Lee. The same year, Washington starred in Gregory Hoblet's supernatural horror film Fallen, 1998, with John Goodman, James Gandolfini, and Donald Sutherland. In 1999, Washington acted alongside Angelina Jolie in the crime thriller The Bone Collector. That same year, Washington starred in The Hurricane, a film about boxer Reuben "Hurricane" Carter, whose conviction for triple murder was overturned after he spent almost 20 years in prison. Although less successful at the box office than The Bone Collector, Hurricane had a better reception from critics. Washington received a Silver Bear Award at the Berlin International Film Festival for his role as Carter. Roger Ebert, film critic for the Chicago Sun-Times, wrote of Washington's performance, "This is one of Denzel Washington's great performances, on a par with his work in Malcolm X." 2000 to 2009, established actor and action roles. Washington in 2000. At the 57th Golden Globe Awards in 2000, Washington won the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor, Motion Picture Drama for his work in The Hurricane. Washington was the first black actor to win the award since Sidney Poitier in 1963. Mick LaSalle of the San Francisco Chronicle declared, "Washington gives a penetrating portrait of life at its most extreme. He takes the viewer into the mind of a man experiencing confinement and physical deprivation. More profoundly, he shows what it's like to deal every day with the torments of wild rage and impotence, despair and hope." In 2000, Washington portrayed Herman Boone, the high school football coach in the Disney sports drama film Remember the Titans, which grossed over $100 million in the U.S. Andrew O'Heir of Salon wrote, "Washington is of course the linchpin of Remember the Titans. He's a commanding actor in a commanding role, and as memorable as he was in The Hurricane." Washington starred in the Antoine Fuqua-directed crime thriller Training Day, 2001, acting opposite Ethan Hawke. Washington portrayed Detective Alonzo Harris, a corrupt Los Angeles cop. Roger Ebert wrote of his performance, "For Denzel Washington, it's a rare villainous role. He doesn't look, sound or move like his usual likable characters. He's like a monster from a horror film, unkillable and implacable." Washington won an Academy Award for Best Actor, becoming the second African-American actor to win the category after Poitier, who was presented with an honorary Academy Award the same night. He also received nominations for the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor, Motion Picture Drama, and the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Male Actor in a Leading Role. In 2002, Washington starred in the Nick Cassavetes-directed healthcare-themed drama John Q. 2002, portraying John Quincy Archibald. Washington acted opposite James Woods, Robert Duvall, and Ray Liotta. The film was a financial success but received mixed reviews, with critics praising Washington's performances. BBC film critic Neil Smith wrote, "What credibility there is comes from Washington's intense, humane performance and the supporting players' sterling attempts to rise above the stereotypical roles with which they have been saddled." That same year, Washington directed his first film, a well-reviewed drama called Antoine Fisher, 2002, in which he also co-starred as a Navy psychiatrist. Stephen Holden of the New York Times praised Washington's directing, writing. "Mr. Washington shows a confident grasp of cinematic narrative in a hearty meat and potatoes style. But the most remarkable aspect of his behind-the-camera debut is his brilliantly sure-footed handling of actors." He also praised his acting by adding, "He is so sensitively reactive that his performance seems more lived than acted." Washington after a performance of Julius Caesar in May 2005. Between 2003 and 2004, Washington appeared in a series of thrillers that performed generally well at the box office, including Carl Franklin's Out of Time opposite Eva Mendes and Tony Scott's Man on Fire alongside Dakota Fanning. In 2004, Washington acted opposite Meryl Streep in the remake of the 1962 film of the same name, The Manchurian Candidate. In 2006, he starred in Inside Man, a Spike Lee-directed bank heist thriller co-starring Jodie Foster and Clive Owen. Todd McCarthy of Variety wrote, "Its flashy cast, clever script and vibrant showcasing of New York City are strong pluses for Spike Lee's most mainstream studio venture." Later that year, Washington starred in the time travel movie Déjà Vu, released in November. In 2005, Washington was back on stage playing Brutus in the Broadway revival of Julius Caesar. Theater critic Ben Brantley of the New York Times wrote, "Washington does not embarrass himself, as leading citizens of Hollywood have been known to do on Broadway. But even brilliantined in the glow of his inescapable fame, he can't help getting lost amid the wandering, mismatched crowd and the heavy topical artillery that have been assembled here." Despite mixed reviews, the production's limited run was a consistent sell. Out. In 2007, Washington co-starred with Russell Crowe for the second time. The first was 1995's Virtuosity, in Ridley Scott's crime drama American Gangster, for which he received a Golden Globe Award for Best Actor, Motion Picture Drama nomination. Washington also directed and starred in the drama The Great Debaters with Forrest Whitaker. He next appeared in Tony Scott's 2009 film The Taking of Pelham 123, a remake of the 1974 thriller of the same name, portraying New York City subway security chief Walter Garber opposite John Travolta's villain. 2010 to 2019, Return to Theater and The Equalizer trilogy. Washington with Anne Hathaway at the Nobel Peace Prize concert in 2010. Washington returned to Broadway playing Troy Maxon opposite Viola Davis in the revival of August Wilson's Fences, 2010. Ben Brentley of the New York Times wrote, "Mr. Washington has the fluid naturalness we associate with good screen actors. Face and stance alone provide fascinating and damning glimpses into Troy's attitudes toward his son from an earlier relationships." 43. Washington won the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Play on June 13, 2010. That same year, Washington starred in The Book of Eli, 2010, a post-apocalyptic action drama set in the near future. Also in 2010, he starred as a veteran railroad engineer in the action film Unstoppable, about an unmanned, half-mile-long runaway freight train carrying dangerous cargo. The film was Washington's fifth and final collaboration with director Tony Scott, following Crimson Tide, 1995, Man on Fire, 2004, Deja Vu, 2006, and The Taking of Pelham 123, 2009. In 2012, Washington starred in Flight, for which he was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor for his performance as an alcoholic airline pilot facing investigation for his part in a plane crash. Washington co-starred with Ryan Reynolds in Safe House, where he prepared for his role by subjecting himself to a torture session that included waterboarding. In 2013, Washington starred in Two Guns, alongside Mark Wahlberg. From April to June 2014, Washington played the leading role in the Broadway production of Lorraine Hansberry's classic drama A Raisin in the Sun, directed by Kenny Leon. The show received positive reviews and won the 2014 Tony Award for Best Revival of a Play. That same year, Washington starred in The Equalizer, 2014, an action thriller film directed by Antoine Fuqua and written by Richard Wenk, based on the television series of same name starring Edward Woodward. Washington reprised his role in his first sequel, The Equalizer 2, 2018, and the third and final sequel, The Equalizer 3, 2023. In 2016, Washington starred in The Magnificent Seven, a remake of the 1960 Western film of the same name, alongside Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke, Vincent D'Onofrio, Lee Bin-hun, Manuel Garcia-Rolfo, Martin Sensmeyer, Haley Bennett, and Peter Sarsgaard. Principal photography began on May 18, 2015, in North Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The film premiered on September 8 at the 2016 Toronto International Film Festival and was released in the United States in conventional and IMAX theaters on September 23, 2016. In The Magnificent Seven, Washington plays Sam Chisholm, the bounty hunter, a duly sworn warrant officer from Wichita, Kansas. His character was renamed from Chris Adams, played by Yul Brynner in the original film, to Sam Chisholm. It is Washington's first Western film that he did not watch Westerns growing up, as it was the end of the Western era in the movies. Moreover, Washington and his siblings were barred from going to the cinema by his father, a minister in a church. They grew up watching biblical films instead, like King of Kings and the Ten Commandments. Although Washington has said that he watched portions of the shows Rawhide and Bonanza, Washington did not view the original film in preparation but has watched Seven Samurai. Fuqua flew to New York City to negotiate with Washington, who accepted the offer. Washington at the premiere of The Equalizer in 2014. In 2016, Washington directed the film Fences, co-starring Viola Davis and Stephen McKinley Henderson and based on August Wilson's play of the same name, with a script by Wilson. Set in 1950s Pittsburgh, Washington plays a former Negro League baseball player working as a garbage collector who struggles to provide for his family and come to terms with the events of his life. The film was released on December 16, 2016, by Paramount Pictures. Owen Gleiberman of Variety wrote, Washington, as both actor and director, gets the conversation humming with a speed and alacrity that keeps the audience jazzed. Washington tears through it with a joyful ferocity, like a man possessed. For his performance, Washington was nominated in the Best Actor category for a Golden Globe Award, a Screen Actors Guild Award, and an Academy Award. The film was nominated for 3 other Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay, and won Davis her first Oscar, in the Best Supporting Actress category. The following year, Washington starred in the legal drama film Roman J. Israel, ESQ, 2017. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian wrote, he is a star player, styling out his character's complicated and tricky mix of attributes, however contrived. This character is always fully and comfortably inhabited, and Washington brings off the funny moments. While the film received mixed reviews, his performance was praised by critics and led to nominations for a Golden Globe Award, a Screen Actors Guild Award and an Academy Award, Washington's 9th Oscar nomination overall, and his 6th for Best actor. Beginning on March 22, 2018, Washington starred as Theodore Hickey Hickman in a Broadway revival of Eugene O'Neill's The Iceman Cometh. The production, directed by George C. Wolfe, began regular performances April 26 and ran for 14 weeks. Washington received positive reviews, with Alexis Solowski of The Guardian writing, "For most of it, Washington is playing Washington, letting his good looks and irrepressible charm do most of the character work, though the play's most exciting moments are when he lets that charm falter, something he's also been exploring in his recent film work, too, showing something uglier and more ravaged underneath." 2020 present. In 2020, Washington produced the Netflix film adaptation of the August Wilson play Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, starring Chadwick Boseman and Viola Davis. The film was directed by George C. Wolfe and received positive reviews. The following year, he portrayed Deputy Sheriff Joe Deacon in the crime thriller The Little Things, acting opposite Rami Malek and Jared Leto. The film was released during the COVID-19 pandemic and was released in theaters and on HBO Max. In 2021, Washington portrayed the titular character in the 2021 film adaptation of the William Shakespeare tragedy Macbeth. Washington received universal acclaim for his performance and was nominated for several awards, including an Academy Award, a Golden Globe Award, and a Screen Actors Guild Award. That same year, Washington directed the drama A Journal for Jordan, based on the memoir A Journal for Jordan, A Story of Love and Honor by Dana Kennedy. It received a wide theatrical release on December 25, 2021, and received mixed reviews from critics. In 2023, Washington was cast in Ridley Scott's epic historical drama Gladiator II alongside Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, and Derek Jacobi. The film is a sequel to Scott's Gladiator, 2000. That same year, Washington served as a producer to The Piano Lesson, the Netflix film adaptation of the August Wilson play of the same name starring John David Washington, Danielle Deadwyler, and Samuel L. Jackson. In 2024, Washington is set to reunite with Spike Lee with the police procedural drama film High and Low, a remake of the 1963 Akira Kurosawa film of the same name. The film will be a joint production with A24 and Apple TV Plus and will also star Jeffrey Wright and Ilfinish Hadera. That same year, it was announced that Washington would return to Broadway portraying the title role in a revival of William Shakespeare's play Othello, starring opposite Jake Gyllenhaal as Iago. The production will start in the spring of 2025 and will be directed by Kenny Leon, who previously directed Washington in the Broadway revivals of Fences and A Raisin in the Sun. Religious beliefs. Washington is Pentecostal evangelical Christian and a member of the West Angeles Church of God in Christ. He has considered becoming a preacher. Washington stated in 1999, "A part of me still says, maybe, Denzel, you're supposed to preach. Maybe you're still compromising. I've had an opportunity to play great men and, through their words, to preach. I take what talent I've been given seriously, and I want to use it for good." In 1995, he donated $2.5 million to help build the new West Angeles Church of God in Christ facility in Los Angeles. Washington says that he reads the Bible daily. Service and recognition. Washington has served as the national spokesman for Boys and Girls Clubs of America since 1993 and has appeared in public service announcements and awareness campaigns for the organization. He has also served as a board member for Boys and Girls Clubs of America since 1995. Due to his philanthropic work with the Boys and Girls Club, PS17X, a New York City elementary school, decided to officially name their school after Washington. In mid-2004, Washington visited Brooke Army Medical Center, BAMC, at Fort Sam Houston, where he participated in a Purple Heart ceremony, presenting medals to 3 Army soldiers recovering from wounds they received while stationed in Iraq. Washington also visited the Fort's Fisher House facilities, and after learning that it had exceeded its capacity, made a substantial donation to the Fisher House Foundation. This program focuses on building and providing homes for military personnel and their families free of charge while they receive medical care. Washington's other charitable contributions include $1 million to Nelson Mandela's Children's Fund in 1995 and $1 million to Wiley College to resuscitate the college's debate team. The Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, FARC, named Washington as one of 3 people, the others being directors Oliver Stone and Michael Moore, with whom they were willing to negotiate for the release of 3 defense contractors the group had held captive from 2003 to 2008. That effort by FARC was unsuccessful. On May 18, 1991, Washington was awarded an honorary doctorate from his alma mater, Fordham University, for having impressively succeeded in exploring the edge of his multifaceted talent. In 2011, he donated $2 million to Fordham for an endowed chair of the theater department, as well as $250,000 to establish a theater-specific scholarship at the school. Washington also received an honorary doctorate of humanities from Morehouse College on May 20, 2007, and an honorary Doctor of Arts degree from the University of Pennsylvania on May 16, 2011. On October 11, 2021, the United States Army made Washington the 2021 Honorary Sergeant Major of the Army at the Annual Association of the U.S. Army Conference for his work with the Fisher House Foundation, providing free homes for military families while receiving medical care. Sergeant Major of the Army Michael A. Grinstein presented Washington with the award and said that Washington represented everything he was looking for in this year's honoree: humility, dedication to soldiers, and respect for the Army. In 2022, Washington received the Presidential Medal of Freedom.